Chant the prayers. Peter is coming up. Huh? All right.
Dropping out. Sorry, Prabhu.
Peter's coming online.
See them on the screen, Prabhu? The beginning.
Chant the prayers first, huh?
Can you put them on the screen, Prabhu?
Okay, I'll put it on.
There's an echo.
Who's that song?
All right.
Nandasya Gananganam Salakaya Saksho Anvinanyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manavastam Saviranya Bhutale Swaya Bhakaramayan Dranti Vedantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupan Sagaratam Sahagana Ruganantam Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savirutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Param Saha Gnanalita Shri Vishakam Vanscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Vrinda Pate Gopika Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tatakanchani Gorangi Radhe Vinavaneshwari Sagunoste Devi Namami Hari Priye Rancha Kaupatuvriyascha Kripa Sindhu Dhyavacha Patitinam Vyo Vishnavyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Namo Vishnu.
Sadhuri Srimati Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Charane Nivite Shashwandavadi Sachada Shikarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
So, anyone have any particular questions that we can start off with?
Peter's on to it. Any questions? Birdie's actually next to me.
Buddy has a question. Brodish.
No.
What about Peter? Peter has a question.
I do. There's one part in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, in my opinion. I'm just wondering why, because Krishna knows everything. So why does he use in my opinion in that case?
That is Krishna's humility. He doesn't force his authority, you know.
Okay, thanks.
So all devotees, they speak like that, you know, in a humble way. When you become too authoritarian, then it is more of an egoistic kind of a consciousness, you know. Yes?
Yeah.
So it's how we learn how to talk, how to act. Everyone have to act in a humble way, you know. So unless the Lord set the example, how we are going to learn? Yes?
Yes.
Sometimes Krishna also stresses authority also. That's
Only the
also
humble and approach God, right?
for people who don't listen to him, he say you will be finished. So for those who surrender, they will understand. But those who don't surrender, then they will try to think, who is this person, Krishna, you know? Who the hell he think he is? They may think like that. Yes? Is that understood?
Yes, Guru. Actually, the lady upstairs, she was a complete Mayavadi. She is saying that Krishna does not exist.
So for people like that, you know,
You said the Vedic Empire or Vedic civilization never existed. It's a
Yeah.
fallacy.
Yes.
He said
Wow.
Krishna was
And gold on what basis?
For one who is like a frog, an owl, they cannot see. You know, if the eyes are closed. Even the sun is there. They say no, there's no sun. So for people who are like owl-like people like that, so the Lord has to kind of show his, what we say, to shed their consciousness, you know. That's why he says, I never manifest to those people who are in ignorance, you know. Yes. So people who are in ignorance, the Lord is never manifest to them. He bewildered their consciousness. He make them see that everything is an illusion. You want to read this?
Can you read Sankirtan, Prabhu? Okay, I'll read.
No one wants to read. No problem. I am never manifested a foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and inexhaustible.
So the Lord covers their brains, you know, they cannot understand. You follow this point?
Yes,
So even in philosophy also, he bewilders them. They cannot understand things as they are. Here also the Lord dilutes their intelligence. You want to read this also?
Yes, sir. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, who possesses unlimited transcendental qualities, acting from within the cause of the hearts of all philosophers who propagate various views. He causes them to forget their own souls, while sometimes agreeing and sometimes disagreeing among themselves. Thus he creates within the material world a situation in which they are unable to come to a conclusion. I offer my obeisances unto him.
Yes? Is it not? Purport.
Since time immemorial, since the time of creation, since creation of the cosmic manifestation, the conditioned souls have formed various parties of philosophical speculation. But this is not true of the devotees. The non-devotees have different ideas of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and therefore they are called vadis and prativadis, proponents and counter-proponents. It is understood from the statement of Mahabharata that there are many munis, or speculators. All speculators must disagree with other speculators, otherwise why should there be so many opposing parties concerned with ascertaining the supreme cause? Philosophy means finding the ultimate cause. As Vedanta Sutra very recently says, Atato Brahma Jignasa, human life is meant for understanding the ultimate cause. Devotees accept that the ultimate cause is Krishna. This conclusion is supported by all Vedic literature and also by Krishna himself, who says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, Bhagavad Gita 10.8, I am the source of everything. Devotees have no problem understanding the ultimate cause of everything, but non-devotees must face many opposing elements because everyone who wants to be a prominent philosopher invents his own way. In India, there are many parties of philosophers such as Dvaitavadis, Advaitavadis, Vaishekas, Vimasakas, Mayavadis, and Swabhavadis, and each of them opposes the other. Similarly, in the Western countries, there are also many philosophers with different views of creation, life, maintenance, and annihilation. Thus, it is daily a fact that There are countless philosophers throughout the world, each of them contradicting the others. Now, one may ask why there's so many philosophers if the ultimate goal of philosophy is one. Ideally, the ultimate cause is one, the Supreme Brahman. As Arjuna told Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Param Brahma Param Dham Parvitvaram Parvam Pavan Purusham Sashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajan Vibhu. You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the absolute truth and eternal divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original, and you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. Non-devotee speculators, however, do not accept an ultimate cause. Sava Karana Karanam. Because they are ignorant and some of them have a vague idea of the soul. Many controversies arise, and the philosophical speculators can never reach a conclusion. All these speculators are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tamaham Dyashad Kuran Samareshu Narad Haman. Sorry for those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into the various demoniac species of life, attaining repeated birth among the species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. Because of the envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, non-devotees are born in demoniac families life after life. They are great offenders, and because their offenses, the Supreme Lord keeps them always bewildered. Kurvanti chaisa muho atma maham. The Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, purposely keeps them in darkness. Atma maham. Is that when Prabhupada said that some of the souls they actually just stay here forever, they never go back? Is that right?
Because they are nobody. See, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Some point, they will get some chance. If they are humans,
Yeah.
Because they can also go down. This thing is going on, going up, going down, going on. Unless they get a chance to meet the pure devotee, then this cycle will stop, no?
Yeah, correct.
Just like our case, already 1.5 trillion years have been passed already,
Yeah.
What we were doing here.
True. The great authority, Parasha, the father of Vyasadeva, explains the Supreme Personality of God. Explains the Supreme Personality of Godhead thus. The demoniac speculators cannot understand the transcendental qualities, forms, pastimes, strength, knowledge, and opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which are all free from material contamination. These speculators are envious of the existence of the Lord, Jagadahu Anivishwaram. Their conclusion is that the entire cosmic manifestation has no controller, but is just working naturally. Thus they are kept in a constant darkness, birth after birth, and cannot understand the real cause of all causes. This is why there are so many schools of philosophical speculation. That sums it up.
You can see how they are, because they don't have the devotion to surrender to Krishna. So Krishna, puts all this doubtful thing in their consciousness. You understand? Krishna is sitting in the heart, correct? He says, no? From me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness, right?
Yes.
So this is how he gives the knowledge, the remembrance, and the forgetfulness. That's Krishna is in control, no? Sarvaschaham hriday sanvisto matasmriti ganam apohanam cha vedesha sarve aham eva vidyo vedanta krit videva chaham. So you see here, the Lord saying, Peter, you want to read this?
I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the controller of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
So here you can see how the Lord, He's controlling everybody. He is giving them the remembrance and the knowledge and also forgetfulness. Yes? Are you following? So the living entity is always under the control of the Lord. At no point of a time the living entity is separate, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Before I go there, let me go here first. I just want to explain this cool, different kind of philosophy that's it's here. You can see anyone who wants to establish his own opinion of philosophy certainly cannot explain any scripture according to the principle of indirect interpretation. Anyone who speculates, you cannot come to a conclusion. So there's this school called Mimamsaka. Philosophers conclude that if there is a God, he is subject to our fruitive activity. Similarly, the Sankhya philosopher who analyzed the cosmic manifestation said that the cause of the cosmos is material nature. See? Then the followers of Nyaya, means logic, the philosophy of logic, maintain that the atom is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and the Mayavad philosophers maintain that the impersonal Brahman effulgence is the cause of the cosmic manifestation. The Patanjali philosophers say that when one is self-realized, he understands the Lord. Similarly, according to Vedas and Vedic principles, the original cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you see, there are 6 schools of understanding, After studying the 6 philosophical theses, Vyasadeva completely summarized them all in a poem of Vedanta philosophy. So Vedanta Sutra is the summary of all this philosophy given in quotes, According to the Vedanta philosophy, the absolute truth is a person. When the word nirguna, without quality, is used, it is understood the Lord as attributes that are totally spiritual. Only of the philosophers mentioned, none really cares for the Supreme Personality of God at the cause of all causes. They are always busy refuting the philosophical theories of others and establishing their own. See? By studying the 6 philosophical theories, one cannot reach the absolute truth. It is therefore our duty to follow the path of the Mahajan, the authority. Whenever they say should be accepted as whatever they say should be accepted as supreme truth. You want to read this?
Chaitanya? Anyone? Oh, you disappeared. In his Anamrita Bhavad verse, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the 6 philosophical processes. Sananda admitted that Sripad Sankaracharya, being very eager to establish his philosophy of monism, took shelter of the Vedanta philosophy and tried to explain it in his own way. The fact is, however, if one accepts the existence of God, one certainly cannot establish the theory of monism. For this reason, Sankaracharya refuted all kinds of Vedic literatures that established the supremacy of the personality of Godhead. In various ways, Sankaracharya tried to refute the Vedic literature. Throughout the world, 99% of the philosophers following in the footsteps of Sankaracharya refused to accept the supreme personality of Godhead. Instead, they tried to establish their own opinions. It is typical of mundane philosophers to want to establish their own opinions and refute those of others. Therefore, the Mimamsa philosophers, following the principle of Jaimini, stress. What's Jaimini?
Jaimini is the person who is the one who originated this philosophy. His name is Jaimini.
Ah, okay.
Can someone just help me? How do I can't see this full scripture. I've still got the screens in the corner. How do I be able to see the full scripture, please?
There should be a
What do I
button,
need to
a
press?
square button on the top right-hand
The
corner.
square button? Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
The Mimamsa philosophers, following the principles of Jaimini, stress fruit activity and say that there is a God, he must be under the laws of fruit activity. In other words, if one performs his duties very nicely in a material world, God is obliged to give one the desired result. According to these philosophers, there is no need to become a devotee of God. If one strictly follows moral principles, one will be recognized by the Lord who will give the desired reward. Such philosophers do not accept the Vedic principle of Bhakti Yoga. Instead, they give stress to following one's prescribed duty.
No, but you see, some people may do their work, not necessarily all will get result,
Yes.
So this philosophy is not, they say if you work, you will get the result, but not necessary. People work hard, they don't get nothing also. They're born losers. There's some terms like that also, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So this philosophy is not very sound.
There's a reason behind everything.
Yeah. Next one. According to your karma, you get your desired results, not according to your own work,
Yeah.
You understand? The next
Does
one.
that include past karma from past lives, not only karma from this life?
Yes. Your karma means past life.
Mm.
When you say karma, means it's what you did last life, you are put into this present life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Atheistic Sankhya philosophers like Kapila analyze the material elements very scrutinizingly, and thereby come to the conclusion that material nature is the cause of everything. They do not accept the Supreme Personality of God as the cause of all causes. Nyaya philosophers
So here, the atheistic Sankhya, this Kapila is not the same Kapila as the Bhagavatam. No? This Kapila is atheistic, sage, is different. Huh? And they analyze the material elements very scrutinizing and think that material nature is the cause, but that's not a fact. A woman cannot give birth on her own, no? Correct?
True. Yeah, sure.
So they need the male counterpart. So this philosophy is also not very sound. Huh?
If it's written down and it's not sound, why is that?
What's that again?
If it's written down as one of the scriptures, but it's not sound, why is that?
Because
So, like,
people
if
are
what
there.
we're reading is not sound.
No, people are confused. This is all the confused people,
Oh, okay, this is describing the confused
all
people.
the confusion,
Those who are writing down, yeah.
All right, read the number 3 then.
Nyaya philosophers like Gautama and Kanada have accepted a combination of atoms as the original cause of creation.
So
That sounds like
so you see, they think that these are the scientists, They say the atom and the protons is what the whole universe is made of,
Yeah, sounds like modern
But,
scientists, yeah.
Yeah, this is a scientific thing, They all believe like that. Elements and atoms mix up everything, And they
But
can
then
manipulate the atom and they can manipulate the protons, and then you see they can make the atom bomb and all kind of stuff,
Yeah.
They actually think they're actually God. But they don't know that God, Krishna, he said, I am also inside the atoms.
Yeah.
The Brahma Samhita is say, Paramanu Chaya Antara Astam. I enter even into the atoms.
Correct.
So
Where the atoms come from and where the elements come from.
Correct. So that philosophy is also debunked, Number 4, you can read.
Mayavadi philosophers say that everything is an illusion. Headed by philosophers like Hashtavakra, they stress that the impersonal Brahman effulgence as the cause of everything.
So we know the impersonal Brahman, the basis of that impersonal Brahman is Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano Pratistaham, I am the basis of this light, correct?
Yeah.
And from my body, the light is going all over the universe. Yasha Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti, Koti says Visudati,
Is that in the Srimad Bhagavatam?
Ananta Sesa Bhutam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. This verse, it says that from him, his body's light, the whole universe is getting, illuminated. Yes? So Mayavad doesn't hold. Yeah, Mayavad, it's not doesn't conclude the thing. Yeah, light is pervading all, but whose light is it? Where the light come from?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, like it's just the light is coming. It's not like from the sun.
Yes.
Where's the source of that light coming from? Can't say it's from nothing.
Okay, the number 5.
Philosophers following the precepts of Patanjali practice Raja Yoga. They imagine a form of the absolute truth within many forms. That is the process of self-realization. That sounds complicated.
Okay, here this Patanjali Yoga, they all meditate on the super soul, you know,
Mm.
and they try to merge to the super soul, you know. In
Okay.
other words, they try to enter into the body of Krishna. There are two kind of merging. One merging is the light, effulgence. Another merging is trying to enter in the body of Krishna, which is more hellish, you know, offensive. So that is their process of self-realization. So this is also not very valid decision. So these are all the confused people. But here you can read on.
All these philosophies completely reject the predominance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Oops, I just did something. And strive to establish their own philosophical theories. However, Srila Vyasadeva wrote the Vedanta Sutra, and taking the essence of all Vedic literature, establishes the supremacy of the Supreme Person of Godhead. All five kinds of philosophies mentioned above understand that impersonal Brahman is without material qualities, and they believe that when the personality of Godhead appears, he is contaminated and covered by the material qualities. The technical term used is Saguna. They speak of Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman. For them, Nirguna Brahman means the impersonal absolute truth without any material
Qualities.
And Saguna Brahman means the absolute truth that accepts the contamination of material qualities. More or less, this kind of philosophical speculation is called Maimad philosophy. The fact that absolute truth never has anything to do with material qualities, because he is spiritual quality. The 5 philosophers mentioned above do not accept Lord Vishnu as the supreme. Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they are very busy refuting the philosophies of other schools. There are 6 philosophical processes in India. Because Vyasadeva is the Vedic authority, he is known as Veda Vyas. His philosophical explanation of the Vedanta Sutra is accepted by the devotees, as Krishna confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. The ultimate goal of studying all the Vedic literature is the acceptance of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Krishna Consciousness movement is propagating the philosophical conclusion of Srila Vyasadeva, and following the other great acharyas like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami Nimbaka, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself.
So you can see all the 6 philosophies, they have no substantial base because they are all speculations, you know. So Veda Vyas, he compiled the Bhagavatam to refute all these things. See?
Yes, that makes sense.
Why the Srimad Bhagavatam is, you know, gives light, you know. It is the book that is completely establishes the supremacy of Krishna.
Correct.
So when you read the Bhagavatam, you can get a clear understanding on the personality of Godhead, his activities, his pastimes, you know. So this is the difference between the speculators and the non-speculators.
Would you say that the speculators are the people not practicing it? That's what I'd say.
Speculators are people who have, they don't accept the supremacy of Krishna. Those who don't accept the supremacy of Krishna, they don't, to accept this, on the whole, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Puran, can be learned only through devotional service, not by material intelligence, speculative methods, or imaginary commentaries. So if you want to know about God, then this is the process, It's spoken by Lord Shiva. He said, I may know, Sukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, may know, and Vyasadeva may know or may not know Srimad Bhagavatam. On the whole, see this point. So if you want to understand God, you can only understand through a devotee. It's not possible to understand devotional service by any other means, See? One who has developed Krishna consciousness and has served the pure devotee, the spiritual master, can understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Others cannot. So in other words, if you want to know about Krishna, you must have a spiritual master and you must, try to understand Krishna through him. Otherwise, it is not possible. See? All Vedic literatures maintain that Srimad Bhagavatam has to be learned from the person Bhagavata. And to understand it, one has to engage in pure devotional service. Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be understood by erudite scholars or grammarians. So that's why all these speculators, they cannot understand this thing. Because they don't want to surrender to God, Krishna. So when you don't want to surrender, then all these other philosophies, sounds very logical. Just like the scientists and speculators and all. 4 classes of people who don't surrender, Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita. So these are the 4 kinds of people who don't surrender. The grossly foolish, the lowest of mankind, the deluded speculators, and the professed atheists. These are the 4 people who don't surrender to the Lord. And because they don't surrender, they cannot understand. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So everything is very nicely mentioned. The miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, and those intelligence stolen by illusion, and who partake to the artistic nature of the demon, do not surrender unto me. So we want to know God, you have to have some devotion, no? It's not that you can figure this out yourself. That's not possible. You
So
understand?
basically, if someone is an atheist and you mention more God or Krishna and they just reject it, just move on to the next person because it's against the 10 principles to preach to someone who's not faithful.
I don't understand your question.
It's all right. That's okay.
So a person who's atheistic, naturally you won't want to believe in the existence of God. And if you preach to him, then you are implicating him into more, I would say, offenses against God. That's why for his benefit, we don't preach.
Give them prasadam.
Yes. Because if you preach, you antagonizing him to a more deeper kind of a offensive position.
Yes.
Understand? People who are atheistic, they suffer the greatest punishment in hell. You
But you
follow?
can give them prasadam, you just don't preach to them.
Yeah, you give them prasadam just like animals. Yeah, what do you want to do with animals? Can you preach to the animals?
No.
I thought they're already connected to Krishna and got the super soul within them. So
They have no brains, they are offensive. Yes?
Yeah, they have the super soul, but they can't understand Krishna.
No, they are offensive. Krishna covers their brains.
That's why they're in the animal body.
Just like the trees and the plants and the animals, how do you elevate them?
By chanting.
By offering their whatever this animal gives to give to Krishna.
Mm.
And also chanting, of course, that is there, but like the
Yeah,
cow, they say these guys are all crazy, they say, oh, these cows are all, we cannot drink this milk because, that's offensive,
That's in ISKCON now, right? This
Yeah,
whole
all
vegan
this
movement that's going on.
crazy, all this crazy. Now the animal is in a very difficult situation. If we get the milk and offer to Krishna, won't the animal benefit?
Yes, he will benefit.
You understand? Oh, this is animal that are not, they are ahimsa and all kind of nonsense theory.
It's better to offer the milk, you get benefit, than not do anything.
That is the duty of the devotees to upgrade the animal. They know they're going to be killed. But if they offer their fruit to Krishna, they are getting benefited. At least next life, they are, given a better status. The plant, the flowers, the fruits, the vegetables. Understand? They are all souls. How are you going to help them? Unless you bring them to Krishna. And that's the meaning of devotee. The devotee he has to do welfare work for the benefit of everybody, He cannot just think of himself. This is selfishness, Understand that? Are you following?
Yes.
Yes, bro.
You see, only persons who constantly engage in the welfare activities of other living entities can reach the Vaikuntha planet. You cannot go back if you don't help others. Understand? That's why the devotees are the most fortunate person to associate with, because they will link you to God, Krishna. And every living entity is separated from Krishna. Unless they link to Krishna, there's no question of stopping the cycle of birth and death. Understand?
Yes.
See, all things are recorded here in the book. The real problem lies the repetition of birth and death, which is like a wheel rolling up and down. This wheel, however, completely stops when one is in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So how to get the soul in touch? Tell me.
chant.
By becoming a vegan and becoming a nonsense? This is nonsense. Philosophy. This veganism is a nonsense. No compassion. They think, oh, we're not going to kill the animal, but they don't know how to elevate the animal. The plant, the trees, the fruit, so many things.
Like you said before, the Brahman, the devotee's quality is to help everyone, even including the animals.
Yes. That's why the devotees are the most fortunate person. Their association is sought. Why? Because he elevates everybody from this suffering position. In other words, the transcendental bliss realized from constant engagement in devotional service, one is completely liberated from material existence. All learned men know this. Therefore, my dear friends, O Santa, Asura, immediately begin meditating upon and worshipping the super soul within everyone's heart. Now try to understand, they have no brains actually, all of these crazy guys, They're so selfish. They are completely selfish. Understand? That's why they're classified as demons. There are two classes, either the devotees or the demons. There's no other in between. You follow? So anyone is compassionate, he will try to help others. Some way he wants to help. That is the meaning of a devotee. to elevate others. Let them go back to God. Let me go to hell for them. That's how they think. Whereas the demon, they think, let everyone go to hell, I only want to be the only enjoyer. They're demons. It's selfishness. Are you following? Yes? No?
Yes.
So
Except
therefore, what?
that's all dependent on Krishna anyway, isn't it? So
Yes, that's why you say devotees are like, appealing to Krishna to help. You follow? Just like in the court, the guilty is condemned, but the lawyer pleads for him. No, he's a nice man. Give him a second chance. Please help him. Right? Is it not?
yeah.
The same way, the devotees, because the devotees pleading, the Lord takes into consideration.
But becoming a devotee depends on Krishna too. Everything depends on Krishna.
Of course, he is the controller, maintainer, and he is the one who destroys everything also. Everything belongs to him. There's nothing you can make. You can't make a grain of grass or a grain of rice or what, wheat. No, you can't do nothing. Yes?
So you can't make yourself a devotee either.
No. You can only make yourself a devotee by the blessings of another devotee. That's why devotees are very important. By association of a devotee, you can become a devotee.
Like Krishna says that those who say my devotees
that
are
is
not my
also
devotees.
correct. No, those who are becoming devotees, the arrangement by Krishna also. Because when Krishna is in the heart, he detects that the soul is, submissive, and he wants to come out of this mess. Because the Lord is sitting in the heart and listening to everything you're thinking and doing. He's a witness. You understand? You can't fool him, he's got a better security system than any of your cameras put together. You follow?
Yes.
Yes, brother.
So better the one who is surrendering, oh my Lord, please help me, I'm in mess. Yes, the moment the devotee say like that, then the Lord will make so many good arrangements to save the soul. Just like all of us, we also had the same experience. You mean you say we all figured out to become a devotee of Krishna? Come on, that's rubbish. By the mercy of a devotee that we got in contact, is it not?
Yes.
So therefore we should be grateful. We should help others. We should help others. We have no other choice. If we want to please Krishna, we must help others. That is the greatest compassion. Then yes, Krishna is pleased with you. Then yes, so many things he did, he does so much. He makes so many arrangements. Correct? Like now, those people who are not surrendering to Krishna, they are facing terrible reactions because of this disease. Correct?
Yes, brother.
But the devotees don't suffer like that. Anyone who is chanting Hare Krishna, is no problem for him. I see he has enough prasadam, enough everything. Yes?
Yes.
But for the non-devotees, oh, their life is miserable. They have so many problems, social problem, financial problem. Correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
So therefore, that's why to become a devotee is the most auspicious thing. To associate with devotees is the only business. And to chant Hare Krishna, it should be the only work of everyone. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Brody Brewer had a question regarding the Veda Vedantists in India. He went there a few years ago and they told what they're doing. They were changing the scripture.
No, they just don't think they understood it. They interpret it different.
Naturally, just now we read, no? Krishna bewildered their brains, they can't understand this. Yes?
Yeah.
Only when you come in contact with devotees, these mysteries are all revealed, Krishna is like a clever magician, his tricks are very illusory. They cannot understand that. If some material magician can bewilder us, can you imagine how powerful Krishna is? Yes? So,
Yes, bro.
Krishna is God, Just like Karna, he knew he had the Shakti weapon, and he says in the morning that tomorrow morning I'm going to throw this Shakti and I'm going to finish Arjuna. But when he goes in the morning to the battlefield, Krishna bewilders consciousness. He forgets he has the Shakti weapon. Understand? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nothing moves without his sanction. So any living entity who is so tiny understands this position of Krishna, then yes, he is saved. You understand? That's why Krishna says, to know that takes many, many births. Just to know that Krishna is all in all, that takes many, many, many births. So it's not very cheap thing, Yes?
Yes.
So anyone is intelligent, he will surrender. So no, my dear Lord, I just want to be your servant and you please tell me what I should do. That's why we are chanting Hare Krishna. My dear Lord, please you tell me Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You understand?
Yes.
Otherwise, our life will be very hellish. It can make a big mess of us, Can you imagine all the fishes and all the germs and so many things? You want to end up like that?
No.
Huh? Tell me. Krishna knows how to put the screws as well, Huh? What do you say?
It's not a wise idea.
That's why we are here suffering. We try to become Mr. Wise and now we can see.
Yeah.
So better to be submissive and take shelter of him. That's all he's asking. You become my devotee. I'll take care of everything. Don't worry. Yes? I will deliver you. Do not fear. Yes, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Bhagavad Gita. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So all these things are not some kind of, or some Hindu mythology and some speculative nonsense. If you think it is some speculation, yeah, you can go ahead, It's going to be messed up. We can know how to mess you up too,
Why did you get rid of that one? That was
Just see Australia. The government is ditching out money for you. It's giving you all facilities. You can go to the beach and swim whole day and night. But still, you're messed up. Why? Everybody is waiting in queue to come into your Australia. They think this is the heavenly world, blah, blah, blah. But look at your Australia. Come on.
Yeah.
This is
We're still messed up.
nonsense. Yeah, this is nonsense. Understand? You follow? You can go from the topmost planet to the bottom, You can try. But nothing will help. No one in this material world has become free from the four principles of birth, death, old age, even by fleeing to various planets. You understand?
I haven't seen that before. I haven't seen this verse before.
But now that you have appeared, my Lord,
did it, like,
death is
recently.
fleeing from you. And living entities have obtained shelter at Lotus Feet. By your mercy are sleeping in full mental peace.
It's like who's the He was getting chased by the Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra. He went from one place to another place to another place. Who is it?
His name is, start with a D,
That's not Devasa Muni, is it?
Durvasha Muni.
Yeah.
So you can see, this is not the way to. That's why our only hope is to take shelter of Krishna. Anyone intelligent, he will not do all these crazy things, crazy stunts, as we say. Because ultimately you go crazy if you go in that way, you know. That's why now so many, what they call it, mad houses, what do you call them? Mental hospitals. They word it nice. Actually, it's called a madhouse, you know. Yes? Institute of Mental Health, they call it. This sounds nice, huh? Yes? But it actually means it's a madhouse. Yes or not? Yes.
Yes.
So therefore, we have to become very intelligent. Become intelligent. Why we have to go through all this unnecessary? Yeah. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yeah, you can try. You want to check Krishna out. Yes, I don't believe this. Like your lady saying, I don't believe it. Wait till she get a call from Mr. Death, you know.
Yeah, right.
And then she'll be passing urine and stool in her bed. You understand? For those who don't believe, I come as sure as death, Krishna says. And when death comes, you can say, I don't believe. Huh? Can you say that?
No.
You can if you want to die, but if you want to go to Krishna, just chant Hare Krishna.
Yes, if you are a devotee, that also to chant, you must be reminded by Krishna, not that you do on your own strength. Krishna says, I come and I help the devotees. I remind him. You understand? I give you the intelligence. I mean, we have practically, when we go to bed, we forget everything. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
We don't even know what kind of body we are having. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what position we are, you know, our position is very deplorable. We are in very, I say, confused state, you know, unless the Lord help us. How to come out? Yes. You follow?
Yes, Prabhu.
So why become foolish, you know? This is really foolishness. Yes?
Anyone else hearing that?
Because we want to enjoy the senses, that's why this whole thing is a problem. The whole problem starts with our desire to enjoy the senses. Nothing else. See? Nothing else. That is the whole disease. Our mind can only be happy if we are reconciled. You can read this?
Someone want to read?
Thereafter, you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after another, without being deviated from the conception of the complete body. Thus, the mind becomes free from all sense objects. There should be no other thing to be thought upon, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth. The mind becomes completely reconciled in Him only.
See that? Our mind can become completely reconciled Only in him. You follow? Read on.
One's mind is also agitated by the passionate mode of material nature and bewildered by the ignorant mode of nature. But one can rectify such conceptions by the relation of Vishnu and thus become pacified by cleansing the dirty things created by them.
Yes, can read the purport.
Persons generally conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance cannot be bona fide candidates for being situated in the transcendental stage of God realization. Only persons conducted by the mode of goodness can have the knowledge of the supreme truth. Effects of the modes of passion and ignorance are manifested by too much hankering after wealth and women. And those who are too much after wealth and women can rectify their leanings only by constant remembrance of Vishnu in his material potency, his impersonal feature. Generally, the impersonalists or monists are influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. Such impersonalists think of themselves as liberated souls, but they have no knowledge of the transcendental personal feature of the absolute truth. Actually, they are impure in heart on account of being devoid of knowledge of the personal feature of the absolute. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that after many hundreds of births, the impersonal philosopher surrenders unto the personality of Godhead. To acquire such a qualification of God realization in the personal feature, the neophyte impersonalist is given a chance to realize the relation of the Lord in everything by the philosophy of pantheism. Pantheism in its highest status does not permit the student to form an impersonal conception of the absolute truth, but extends the conception of the absolute truth into the field of the so-called material nature. Everything created by the material energy can be dovetailed with the absolute by an attitude of service. It is the essential part of living energy. The pure devotee of the Lord knows the art of converting everything into its spiritual existence by this service attitude, and only in that devotional way can the theory of pantheism be perfected. O King, by this system of remembrance and by being fixed in the habit of seeing the all-good personal conception of the Lord, one can very soon attain devotional service to the Lord under his direct shelter. Purport: success of mystic performances is achieved only by the help of the devotional attitude. Pantheism is the system of feeling the presence of the Almighty everywhere, is a sort of training of the mind to become accustomed to devotional conception, and is this devotional attitude of the mystic that makes possible the successful termination of such mystic attempts. One is not, how elevated to such a successful status without mixing in a tinge of devotional service. The devotional atmosphere created by pantheistic vision develops into devotional service in later days, and that is the only benefit for the impersonalists. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, number 5, that the impersonal way of self-realization is more troublesome because it reaches the goal in an indirect way, although the impersonalists also become obsessed with the personal feature of the Lord after a long time.
So you can see how, our only way of getting purified is to reconcile our mind and the lotus feet of the Lord. And that way we can get all these dirty things cleaned up. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Any other questions? I think I've explained it at length.
Anyone have any questions?
No more questions, Prabhu.
All right.
I'm out.
I guess I have to ask for forgiveness if I have said some things too strong.
No, I think
No,
you
not
said it
strong.
well.
Not
Thank
strong
you.
enough for you.
I hope I did not wake you up in a rude manner.
I need a good push sometimes.
Brody, you're on twice. You're on like 2 screens. You got double.
It's 2 of us. Using 2 phones.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're on
two.
Brody's one, are you, Chaitanya? I thought you were on your own one.
No.
All right, so I guess I have to stop here then, huh? Thank you very
Thank you,
much for
Brody.
giving me a chance to be of some service to all of you.
Thank you, Prabhu, for preaching. Thank you for the
All
class.
glories to Srila Prabhupada, huh?
Always
Always is the world,
Yeah.
This is what is-